Hello, Camera Mandy.
Hello.
Notice I am sitting in Strong Arm McGillen's.
Yeah, you were enjoying a libation or two?
Yes, with an Alphinius in the background. See, right?
Uh-huh.
How do you do that? Let me see. You're trying to do it in...
I don't think
trying to have my finger not
you're
disappear.
gonna lose your...
Trying to have my finger not disappear.
You have to put like
Okay,
your arm up and do it like this, but then you can't see.
See, that's the problem. It disappears. I can't do it. Look, it's Jim Kinney. Oh, it's just not gonna work.
Technology.
Anyway, happy Saturday, my friends. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
We are having a snow day here in Colorado. We have this
Yes.
thing, it is called Fool's Spring. And so that is where we get several weeks of very beautiful weather. And then suddenly it starts dumping snow again in the middle of April.
Indeed. This is exactly what happened. So we decided we would stay home today and be warm and have a nice little cup of coffee and not go venture out into the snowy days, right, Camera Mendy?
Well, sometimes like the light snow is like the most dangerous one. Like there's just like this light sheen of snow on the road, and suddenly there's like 8 car accidents along I-25, which is the highway that we have here.
Yeah, well, what happens is, of course, is it's not that cold, right, during the day. So it snows a little bit, it gets wet, right? And then overnight, yes, the temperature drops. Yes, and the ice begins to form, and then the little dusting of snow comes on the top, and you think you're safe, and then you hit the brakes, and then that's it. You're calling your insurance company.
Welcome to Goo Morning, Zyathé, where we talk about the weather.
Hello. I've had an accident, Flo.
Anyway, we have a great show for you today.
We do.
And I think we should start it off with StreamYard has changed a few things. I thought we could start off by talking about our brand new digital download.
Yes.
From the...
Go ahead, cameraman. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
The Aethernist, a new class for the world of Zyathé.
So this is a marvelous thing that Casey. So when we were, as y'all know, we do a lot of stuff with our community. That's always our goal, right? And many of you who watch this have contributed and done things, and we're going to continue to do this forever as long as everybody likes it. So Casey and Mark got together and wanted to do a class that was about this people who were sort of trying to study the Aetherns, look back, right, trying to gain the ancient knowledge from the Aethernic times, and sort of build a class around that. And it really came together very, very nicely. And Casey has been wonderful in his note, and I'm sure Mark believes the same, because AJ spent quite a bit of time on this as well, and really trying to help make it just mwah. And it really turned out great. And those of you who've been watching and hanging around and back the Kickstarter, we've been dropping just a ton of digital content as we figure out the tariffs. One of my favorite images Vera ever did is right there, cameraman.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, she's really, really good. Anyway, so this is just another one of those digital drops. Oh, by the way, yes, we have been thrown another curveball. Yes, the curveball is that the original thinking on the tariffs was that the tariffs were only going to be 20% in China, and now you all know it's more like 50%. So Lawrence is stressed out, and I'm stressed out, and Camera Mandy's stressed out, and we're all trying to figure out where we're going to print these things, because now the cost has become quite prohibitive in certain areas. So we're looking at different things. Don't worry, no matter what we're doing, it's just trying to figure out the least impactful, right, Camera Mandy? The least impactful thing.
Everyone's going through this right now. I can't even tell you the number of emails I got yesterday from different printers, different publishers, stuff like that. Basically being like, we're breaking this down, we're figuring this out, and so anyway, we will It will be fine. We will
Oh yeah,
figure it out. We're
listen,
gonna
it is
yeah.
just a bump in the road for us, and we
Yeah.
will figure it out. No one has to worry about not getting their materials or anything like that. But
I mean, of all the things, I know the gaming materials, I mean, it's important to all of us, but I remember I was talking to someone at GaryCon and they were saying that they're having issues getting like filters from Canada right now for like water filtering plants and stuff like that.
yeah,
And so it's like Pam said, it's every industry is like dealing with some version of this, and we will figure it out and it'll be just fine. So
yes, indeed.
anyway, but in the meantime, please enjoy our digital content. And I think that the Athernist is a great new class. And
Yeah,
I
and
look
what a
forward
great
to seeing I
and what
look
a
forward I think we should print like a bunch of these little magazettes, like with all these like different classes and races that we're coming up with and bring them to cons. Because like
oh yeah,
as a player, like this is how you because here let me tell you all a little secret here that I think everybody knows. The game master buys everything. So but it's like so you have this market of D&D players. However, it's like 1 out of 6 D&D players are the ones who buy most of the stuff. So how do you get the players to spend the cash? And I think that like having like a little like cool class or uh cool race or whatever, things that players could have. Maybe that's the way to do it. Aside from dice, obviously players are all about the dice and maybe
yes.
the minis.
Oh, look, Ghidorah is saying that they are shocked.
What? I'm shocked. What? I'm shocked.
What do you mean the
Yes.
GM buys everything?
Do they?
But anyway, Cameramandy, isn't this a marvelous image too of a Garund here on the cover?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, really, really cool.
No, this
But
whole thing came together really well. So y'all did a great job.
yeah,
So
it's wonderful, and the digital content has been spectacular. We've gotten some very nice comments. Of course, folks are waiting on their materials that we're going to get printed here. And by the way, y'all, I think you all know this. We print most of the time. Most of our stuff gets printed right here in the United States.
yes.
But in the circumstance where the volume of this, and we're trying to obviously try to keep prices as reasonable as possible for our people, it just made more sense to print a few of these pieces that we're doing for Gyzaengaxx, print them overseas. And of course, all good plans go awry, right? So we had this wonderful plan, we knew where we were going, and then of course things kind of got thrown into a tizzy. About a tizzy, Cameramendi? You ever heard about a tizzy?
I think I've been in a tizzy a few times
Cameramendi,
in my
I think
life.
you live in a tizzy.
I think it's like my natural state of being is being in a tizzy.
I have a natural state. Maybe we need a character class called the Tizzy. Yes. No, we're not doing that. Did you see that damn snail video that got posted about the guy who says all the messed up stuff I can say about snails in 60 seconds?
No, I did not see that.
No, it was pretty messed up. Who saw that? Did anybody?
Is it in the den?
It was on the Facebook. And
how did I miss that?
It showed up, and I might have actually shared it to the Facebook. I can't remember, but it was somebody shared it with me first. So under the Terriff.
Merges every 100 years from the deepest reaches of the Underdelve
that
to
would
wreak
be
havoc
amazing
on the local infrastructure.
Think of it rampaging through the gloom port, right? It'd be terrible.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So this was from Casey. I'm just going to read this little blurb. This because Casey was one of the people who wrote it.
Casey and Mark, along with AJ. Yep.
Actually, I'm gonna have you read it because I need to go blow my nose really quickly. So, yeah, you go.
I thought I was the nose blower, Cameramendi. So I did a pretty mind-blowing thing happened today. I got an email indicating that the Ethernet class, a typographical error made by the autocorrect, the Ethernet class had dropped. I didn't expect it anytime soon. This is a brainchild of my BFF, Mark Gordon, and mine, but neither of us had a good feel of how to make it work effectively. Too many complex, non-amalgamated ideas to tie together cohesively. If you know Mark and Casey, you can understand that. But giving the design details to Gooey Cube was the key to success. AJ Martin and the crew applied their creative magic, and behold, an incredibly innovative and unique class that drips with Zyathé lore and potential for hardcore players. I'm proud of the seeds we sowed, but dang, I'm blown away by the finished masterpiece the Goo crew created. Yes, haha, AJ. And I think Steven worked hard on this as well. Check it out if you back the Gyzaengaxx Kickstarter. You won't be disappointed. I can't wait to see the class in action. That's a commercial for us, cameraman.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Casey. Listen, I blow my nose too, but the thing is, I'm normally behind the camera, so you don't ever see it.
That's true. So she can cheat.
Yes.
Here, I'm going to mute myself
Oh
so
my
that I don't.
gosh. Oh, geez. Why? I guess it's just a snowy day outside. You know how I am when I.
Snowy days make my nose drip,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Okay.
If anybody knows that in the chat, I would be very interested in that.
We're a very professional publication here. Here's my question.
You hold I love that. You hold the players by their ankles and shake them violently until money shakes free.
Where's that at?
That's up at the top of the chat, almost right where you were earlier.
I totally missed it.
And then the churka is up there, which is fantastic. There's so many.
I finally sent off, like, Paul is finally going to get his print for the churka contest. I sent that to Lawrence yesterday, and I was like, we did this contest in 2022. We need to get
that was printed. The wrongest. That's the worst we've ever been, Camramendi.
No, it's not. We have one worse thing that we haven't done yet.
Well, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you. The one worst thing that we haven't done yet is that we have not sent out monster submissions for monsters rounds 4, 9, and 11 for our contributors.
Because we didn't publish.
We had to make and we have to make the art finish making all the art for everyone.
Yes.
So that's the worst one. That's like a 5-year-old thing. Some of these people
monsters.
Huh?
Hundreds of monsters.
I know that was
spectacular. And plus, even today, you're going to get to see a couple of cool monsters that people might not have seen that would be in our Monsterca.
One of these days, Monsterca has just got to get done.
No, I think we're gonna do it in the next Kickstarter. So I think my thought process is, and we're probably going to talk to the community about this because I want to know. But my thought process is that either we do Monstrica or the Cyclopedia Corruptica, the Magica 2.
I'm going to tell you that I think you should do Monsters, and I'll tell you why. Because Monsters are a great point of entry for anyone coming up to our booth, whereas you've already had to bought Weirded Magics or been involved in our community for Corruptica. However, if you do Monstrica, that's something someone new comes up to our website, they see all these cool monsters, that's something they'll just buy right away. So I definitely think doing Monstrica first is a better business decision.
Yeah, so that's quite possible. We'll be included in when we do our next Kickstarter with Luke. Gyzaengaxx 2, yes?
As
the
Pam
temple
says,
of something evil.
Monstrica is bait.
Pamela, I see you right there.
Yeah. So as much as Corruptica I think is great, and I do want to do all these things and the Religica and all that stuff, I think Monsters is like Pam said, it's a good.
Cassius says my nose is going and it's sunny. Now, honestly, I love our take on dragons, right? Because
Ken says, why not do both books? Ducks. Why not?
It could be.
Knowing Alphinius, it probably will be, but
well, I'm so excited.
Let's not get crazy here, y'all.
No, listen, I'm so excited about the next year. Of course, we got Gen Con coming up, and we've got so many games we're going to be running. It's going to be so much fun with so many friends coming. And Charles is working on Chapter 6 and Chapter 7, Harry. We're just, just the reality of trying to make sure we can at least make a little money around here as best as we can to pay some people is the biggest problem with that. But it is in process right along with Gloomport, which we really want to get done and get that out. And then with Gen Con, of course, is coming up. We're going to Gamehole Con, right, Camramendi? Is that was that our decision?
Yeah, so we're going to a couple of new ones today. We're going to Gen Con, not today. I don't know where my brain's at. This year, we're going to Gen Con, Gamehole Con, and we're trying to get into Dragon Con and potentially PAX Unplugged. We'll see. We submitted an application, although this year may not be the best year for it since the Boston Marathon is literally going on at the exact same time as PAX.
Yeah, did you all know that? So PAX got their time moved. They moved their convention to this, and there was some requirement because somebody else was trying to come in and take the convention center, and they were getting kicked out for doing it. So they moved their convention to the same weekend as the Boston Marathon.
And so, hotel room rates are just said to be, astronomical this year. But with that said, there is something, if we could manage to get in this year, because the thing is that the way that they do with their vendors is it's always you have to get in. It's the same with Gen Con. You have to get in, and then once you get in, unless you do something egregious, you just are able to renew every year. But getting in is very difficult. So I don't know. We will see. And then
we are, of course, going to Page. That's exactly right. That's a little con up there in Philadelphia that we're gonna help out a little bit with, and Ed Stark approached us, and we had a little chat with them, and then we made a decision we're going to do that. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, as soon as we start shipping, and it won't happen until we start shipping the Gyzaengaxx materials. As soon as we do that, that will sort of start the ticking clock of the Gyzaengaxx 2, the temple of whatever the heck we're going to name it, evil.
Yes, which I'll get to in just a second. Now, with that said,
and we're doing the contest today, right, Camera Mandy? We're giving people another entry into the contest today. So yeah, we got all kinds of stuff happening today.
Okay, but before we go into that, I'm going to answer some questions about conventions. So we are looking at running games at Gamehole and Page, but it'll look a little bit different than what we do with the other conventions, as I'm not sure I'm going to be there. So we're working out a model where GMs can potentially run games without EO support or like minimal EO support. So, and minimal organizational support, basically. So, I will keep everyone updated on that. Just know that it's in our mind. We keep getting tagged with this, and I'm working on finalizing the model of how this is going to work.
And Geeky's asking about the Texas convention because there are a couple that we've looked at. So I don't know what
Yeah, I mean, we will have to see. So I don't want to give anyone very much hope that we're expanding significantly out to conventions. We're doing a couple of extra ones, but they are very time consuming, and they take our team away from what we need to be doing, which is producing materials. But then the other thing is Pam will be running games at Pacificon, which is Mondo's wonderful Bay Area convention. So if you happen to live in the Bay Area and are interested in running events out there, Pam is looking for anyone who's interested to run games. So if you happen to be in the Bay Area, hit up Pam is all I'm saying.
And we love Pacificon, and we're actually going to do something. We're going to have a call with Mondo. We can't really attend it this year, but we're going to do something with Armando and do some kind of we aren't sure yet. We got some ideas. We're going to toss them back and forth next week, right, Mandy? We're going to talk to Mondo and figure that out.
Absolutely.
So we're going to so it'll be fun. And then I am surprised about that both Texas and California both Texas and Northern California really do not have very large conventions. They have conventions. They just don't have very many large ones, which is very surprising because those population centers, you talk about the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, you talk about the whole Dallas area and all of that stuff. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. ReaperCon is the one that I've looked at, but the problem is a lot of people have told me when they go to ReaperCon, it's not as good for selling the stuff that Gooey sells. So I don't know. Yes, I think you're right, Pam. I think it's the San Diego Comic-Con that just pulls everybody because that thing is outrageous.
I will just throw out my one big brag in my life, which is I got to go speak at a panel at San Diego Comic-Con when I was 21. And at 38 years old or 36 or 37, I don't know how old I am, I'm still clinging on to that as my one great achievement in life.
Camera Mandy, you are famed across TTRPG circles now. Now I know it's not quite as famous.
I wouldn't go that far.
Camera Mandy did fan fiction for
the Twilight fan fiction that went super popular.
And she went viral.
I won't say which one it is because I don't want people reading it, but you know what I'm saying.
Why don't you want people reading it? Because it's dirty.
It is not. It was a T-rated fan fiction.
Camera Mandy.
It was no 50 Shades. It was no 50 Shades. Okay, back to the meat.
Of Twilight.
Anyway,
Amber.
Tell me what.
Amber just made me. Okay, keep going. What are you going to say?
Too hot. That's funny. 49 Shades, says Adam.
The temple of 50 Shades of Grey evil.
50 Shades of Goo.
50 Shades of Goo. Yes. Anyway,
okay.
So some people.
What is this concert? What is this concert? What am I thinking? What is this contest?
So some people. This was just people doing it for fun. So some people just grabbed the cover art and started doing things, right? And so Amber did this one. This is so classic. Made it, and a couple people posted them in the Discord originally. I said, you got to put these up in the den too so people can see them. And people really started laughing about it. And it was very fun. And then there was the WS mostly evil
He was
because he's only
mostly evil.
mostly dead.
It was great.
Because if he's all the way dead, what do you have to do? You have to. There's something about mutton sandwiches or something.
Oh my God, I do not remember. I need to rewatch that movie. It's so good.
Oh no, you have to go through his pockets and look for spare change. That's what it was, right? You have to go if he's all the way dead, right?
I wonder how much of that was improv by Billy Crystal.
Oh, you don't know,
right?
That, I mean,
just saying. Okay. I don't understand this one. I don't think. I mean, I was a '90s kid, but I don't get it. The Temple of Paul is in the chat, so he can explain it to me. The Temple of Legends of the Hidden Temple. Wait, is this supposed to be like? Is it Indiana Jones? No, it's Nickelodeon. Oh, Adam knows. Adam knows what it is. What is it, Adam? Adam.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's kids game show for history.
Kids game show for history.
And there are people in the chat who are covering you off.
Okay. Yes. You never watched Legends of the Hidden Temple on Nickelodeon. Apparently not. Joe knows. It's the kids game show. Okay. Well, I apparently wasn't a very good 90s kid. I apologize.
A game show that traumatized children. Oh great.
That happened.
Oh my God. It's Alphinius and Camera Mandy. Greetings from post Gary Con and Con Crud Fun. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, King Bashman. I did not get the con credit Gary Con, but that's because I just had it at Genghis Con. So I was like inoculated. That's how that works, right?
So I got back and I was fine. Remember, I was fine for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then I got something that was not the con credit because it was too far. There was not enough incubation time or too much incubation time. So I got something else from somebody else. Maybe it was. Oh, isn't that marvelous, Campbell?
Yes, I am very excited for the Ginny thing. So is it my understanding that you're putting these in the environs?
So the environs has a location. There's the West Barrows, there's the East Barrows, Western Barrowlands, Eastern Barrowlands. So the Western Barrowlands is predominantly farms and rolling hills and lots of buried lots of graves in barrows, as well as this is where you find the village of Ethel, which is in Western Barrows. As you move to the Eastern Barrows, you get more foresty, you get closer to the mountains, and you get still rolling hills, foothills, that kind of stuff. But there's also more forests, there's some boggy lands, and then you actually get to the Mithril Mountains, which is the third section of the environs. And the Mithril Mountains has a section within it that we felt we really wanted to talk about, because as you go across from west to east, from Western Barrows to the Eastern Barrows, which is also where Blun is, by the way. Blun is in the Eastern Barrows. You continue along that path, you come to the pass that begins to go through the mountains. And on the other side, of course, that is how you would ultimately head to Valandia, were you to interested in doing such. And so there are two major passes that go through that mountain area. One called the Aether Pass, and the other one called the Mithril Pass, Mithring Pass. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm on the right track. Anyway, so you go through these two passes, and to the north of them, and they sort of pass through it, is this this big valley, and this big valley has this wonderful forest within it that is very fey, but also has some very dark secrets. And so we started fleshing that out, and Carrie worked very, very hard on this, and we started doing some artworks. And of course, there are the noble Feyari, which is a playable race in the world of Zyathé as it stands right now. But there are also what we call the lesser Fey, even though they're certainly not lesser. But the lesser Fey, they're not noble, and these are the guinea finks and the Hoggensnoddles and all these various interesting little the pixies and the sprites and all of that stuff. And there is some part of me that wants to make them all playable in the future.
Well, isn't the Genie Fink? I thought the Genie Fink was coming as a playable race.
It's something that I want to make in the future. It has not been done yet.
Are you sure? Because I thought it was one of our Kickstarter. I thought James Karras and Amy were working on it as part of our Kickstarter, our Tomb of Gyzaengaxx Kickstarter.
Cameramendi, you know, I gave away a lot
almost
of stuff in that Kickstarter.
I'm almost positive. I could be wrong. Okay.
We might have done the guinea finks as a race, as a prelude. I just can't remember, cameraman. There's so many damn things that we did. Hey, Lord Gosumba is in here. Jay
Hi,
Scott.
Lord Gosumba.
Hello, Jay.
Okay, I'm very curious about this, but I do want to say just one thing about this picture, which is Harry Quaid once gave me a Gooey Cube stress ball that looks not dissimilar to what this little dude is holding here. So I don't know if it's actually a gem, but it does look like my Gooey Cube.
You know, I just do a little promo for Lord Gosumba. If you haven't checked out his channel, you should check it out. There's wonderful things there and wonderful stuff. And we had a great time at GaryCon, Jay. Thank you. It was so much fun. And it's wonderful to have you join us this morning. Good morning. All right. So Mythendale is or Mythendale, you know, it's pronounced both ways. Is this wonderful fey and interesting place that is sort of the fourth section of the environs. And so as we flesh out this campaign area and we move to the next phase, Mythendale will play a part in that. But we'll also move more northward, which will take us closer to Hazendravel, and of course will take us into the region where the temple of whatever the heck is going to be named evil is going to be. And there will be some other things up there as well. There's rumored to be some giants in the mountains that are causing trouble.
Oh, it is the Aen Fairy. The Aen Fairy.
The Aen Fairy. Yes, correct. So yes, that's right. That is exactly what I remember now. Yes.
So is that the Ginny Finks?
So it's a way. I think the way it's being structured is a way to build them. So you could have all these different ones, so you can give them different powers and stuff like that. And forgive me, but I'm not on top of that one as much as I'm on top of some of the other stuff we're doing.
Yeah, I'll show them what I'm seeing over here. Looking at our Kickstarter page.
Do a little digging around.
Yeah, so it's this right here is what it the Vidians and the Aen Fairy. So James and Amy are working on that, and then the Zyathés are being worked on, I believe, by Pam and Matt. So
Pamela and Matt.
Yeah. Anyway, very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I kind of went overboard on the stretch goals, Cameramendi.
Oh, if only you had a team that was maybe saying that at the time when it was happening live. But it's all good. You know, I think we are getting really great stuff. I think everyone's going to love it. So
I think so too. Yeah, I'm getting some good comments. If you've gotten some of your digital content, you actually had a chance to look at it. I hope everybody loves the Tower of Gyzaengaxx, which is the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx adventure, as we called it. And we're actually going to finish that up today. We're going to go ahead. Oh, yeah, that was great. So Chris put this up. So Mandy, do you even remember this at all? Do you
No, of course I don't. Like, I started playing D&D back in 2020 or 2019.
Oh, that's true.
I think. So, yeah, you tell me about this. This is all you.
So this was the character sheet pack. Look at that. I mean, it's still in plastic. I mean, Chris, this is when D&D was moving to advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and they actually they went beyond the white box and they went to these books that we did, which were fantastic. Yes, a little bit. So we had this.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of, I did not see all these come through. There's a lot of.
Stop it, Mandy. You're making me
Sorry.
laugh. Anyway, so this was our character sheets. This is what we did. And down below, you can see the matrix where you'd have your weapon speed and you'd have your THAC0 and all of that stuff that was in there. And then up above, you'd have your saving throws on the right-hand side. And this was like a revolution. I mean, it was like amazing because you had all of your various percentages that added to your strength or your intelligence checks or wisdom, you know, these kinds of things. You had your armor class, you had unarmed armor class. It was a really wonderful sheet. And I still have characters on these sheets drawn out in pencil from my youth.
Very nice.
Really fun. What else you got, Cameramendi?
Okay, just a couple more things, and then we'll do our tour.
You didn't show the. Did you show all of the? Oh, I guess you did show all the covers.
The covers for the. You mean for the contest?
For the temple. Yeah.
What is the contest exactly? So you have to just submit a name.
Yeah, you submit a name, and then we're gonna send a signed poster.
Randy just looks awesome. He's just like he's in his Hawaiian shirt with his hat on, and it just tickled me. So.
This is when you go fishing or down to the beach and do what they call beach combing. This is very much a beach comber look.
I like it.
with the gooey tropical shirt, of course. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Cameraman. It is beyond. It is beyond the pale. And this isn't even the most recent one. The most recent one, I got 150 pokes. I got a notification of 150 pokes.
You do kind of instigate it, though. Just you know.
No, I am a retaliatory poker.
No.
Every once in a while, I accidentally poke someone I probably shouldn't have. But basically, for the most part, I am retaliatory poking.
And then you're posting about it actively, because I think you like the poke. People are thinking about you. It's a way of saying I'm thinking about you, sir, today. Yeah, Andy, he says, you poked me thank you. This happened to me too. You poked me the other day. I have never poked you. I also got poked by Alphinius, and I have never poked him. So
well, if you people
just saying
are just part of the, it's collateral poking.
Anyway.
I do regret it. Jen said she got a margarita vibe from Randy's picture. Jimmy Buffett.
Okay. Anyway, let us finish up here. Okay, so I love this post from Chet. Look at this cute fire elemental. It is adorable. Yeah, and then the first comment that I saw under it was, "This guy's a hot mess," and that just made me laugh. Anyway, okay. I think this might be our last one. So the idea of this comic, I really appreciate it, is the monsters are like, I found us a new low-level dungeon. Easy treasure, count me in. I'll join you as well. So those are the three monsters, and then they go to a mall.
Yeah. There's all kinds of treasure there.
Treasure and low-level, kills for the monsters, because you do have to think it might go both ways. Yeah,
you gotta look at the gooey monster there with the sword kind of sticking out.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Chomp chomp chomp. Anyway. Oh my goodness.
I agree with you, Andy. Mandy definitely has egged me on about hats many times. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I just speak the truth is all. So anyway, you ready to do Tomb of Gyzaengaxx?
Did I say Jen? My apologies, Grey Wolf. I apologize. I wasn't thinking.
Okay. Let's do this. We are finishing our Tomb of Gyzaengaxx too. Or wait, are we finishing it today? Or is there more?
There's 2 parts to this. So this is the last, will be part 8, and we will finish it.
Uh-huh.
So if you all remember, we've been doing the walkthrough, so there is some spoilers here. So if you're playing it, don't metagame, right? So if you all remember, you can go to the next slide, cameraman. If you all remember, we have been talking about Under Avalon Hill, which was the last slide. So Avalon Hill, which is this Benjo did this artwork. I think it's so cool. Has, of course, the tower there on the top of it, which is where Gyzaengaxx his abode was or is. And so something happened. Gyzaengaxx disappeared, right? All of this is going on. You meet Lucaj and his family. You become hopefully a part of investigating what happened there. And ultimately you explore the tower. And then you can go to, which is the map is right here. And you can, what a wonderful map by Edvard. And then, of course, there's the tower. So you explore all of that. And then if everything is going the way we're hoping that it's going, you begin to walk in Gyzaengaxx's shoes. And you begin to learn things about why Gyzaengaxx is actually in the Barrows, which is not just, ostensibly to retire. So Gyzaengaxx is at penultimate.
A good word.
Who does not love penultimate? And if you look at the sort of the tale as it progresses, you begin to learn about this real reason that Gyzaengaxx is here, which is because the word reached the queen of the rumor of this terrifying weapon of mass destruction created by an Ethernic group called the Genevian Cabal. And Genevian, you like that? Yeah, it's pretty good. Yes, this is the Genevian Cabal. You see what I did there? Yes. Anyway, so the Genevian Cabal is is an ancient Eternic organization that was a separatist. They wanted to take down the leaders of the Eternic Empire. And they began to do things. And one of the things they did was create some of these nether Vortronics, which are across the world. And these are massive weapons of mass destruction. And supposedly there is one somewhere in the Barrowlands area. So Gyzaengaxx comes here nigh on 20 years ago and has been searching for all this time. Now, some people say, gosh, that's a long time. Well, the fact of the matter is there's many ruins. There's all kinds of places. There's bad leads and good leads and all of that stuff. And so and of course, beyond that, you can't just delve all the time in dungeons in real life, right? You have to, be able to recover and get things in, anyway, this was why the Adventurers College was actually established in Ethholm by Gyzaengaxx and a number of his comrades. The reason why they did that is they wanted to be able to expand their influence and look further. Okay, so all of this has been happening. This is the background of Gyzaengaxx. And now, as you've been exploring his tower and the basement underneath and all of that stuff, you have begun to learn about this nether Vortronics at the same time, which is wonderful, right? Because the discovery for your players is so fantastic. All right, you would, except for it's hidden. So that's a great question, but it is very much hidden. And this is what's so exciting about this, because there's a payoff in this dungeon beyond the basement. So last week we did the basement, which is very interesting because you find out about you've already known, but now you find out there's a second place where Gyzaengaxx kept these monsters in stasis. So go ahead, Randy, we can do the next one. And this is the map of the basement, which is so marvelous. Stephen Dugan worked very, very hard on this, along with Smashcase, and of course we have materials from people that we've licensed and put it all together. And just I love the maps that we are doing right now. So, but if down in that left-hand corner, that bottom left-hand corner, you can see there's a hole. And so we covered the basement last week. Yes, right there, cameraman D. There's also two holes on the other side, but that's a toilet. That's a different thing. So we talked about the Horash, which is a really scary creature that's probably been stalking the party, and that probably by the time we hit the basement, it's time the Horash comes forth. And so we have that one. And then, of course, we have the next one, which is the BBEG of everything except for the caverns below, which is Kerarika. And Kerarika is the Demi-Lich, and Kerarika has some minions, and this is the final battle before the descent into the depths.
I just had a gross thought, and I'm just going to share it. So, Andy says he looks pissed at people pooping on him with the Horash. But then I thought, there are toilets in Gyzaengaxx, but these monsters probably don't use them. So probably the hallways of the Gyzaengaxx tower are just...
Oh, yeah, there's poopy piles
everywhere. And I was just like, that's disgusting. And the Horash looks like he could really do something, crazy.
They've been depleting the food stores.
So
this is becoming, for the monsters that remain now. Remember,
these are the things I don't normally think about, and I like to just kind of brush over. But Andy got me thinking, and now gooey piles in the halls.
So
this is why you have Gooey Cubes. They are dungeon Roombas. Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's better. I like that. Steaming piles of goo.
Pamela, there are no steaming piles of goo. Well, there probably are. All right.
Okay. No, I like this.
The carrion crawlers. That we have lots of options.
You know what, chat? Thank you.
Don't carrion crawlers poop too?
Anyway.
This could be a major controversy right now.
I'm just saying.
What do gelatinous cubes and slimes poop?
I mean, don't they just eviscerate themselves inside gelatinous cubes? Like they just poof. So would there be anything to poop out?
I'm fascinated by what the chat would think about this. because I've honestly, because I am going to do this someday. We're going to do Alphinius's Guide to Goos, Slimes, Oozes, and other, and cubes, right? We're going to do something like that. But that I don't
Korean
think
crawlers poop out perfection.
Just a little mud, mud. Everybody poops. I agree. There's a book about that. Yes, and definitely bones. I agree with that because although some people say they dissolve the bones, it just takes more time. But seriously, so you got gelatinous cubes cruising down the dungeon, eating the poopy piles, right? Well, what the hell did gelatinous cubes poop back out?
Maybe it's just like they just leave little trails of goo.
Harry, is that true? Did Undermountain really have a huge cavern that was filled with piles of poo?
Wow.
Bleach. Lots of bleach. We need lots of bleach.
Harry says yes.
Well,
so there you have it, folks. This is the Gooey Poo episode of Goo Morning, Zyathé.
We have definitely gone on a tangent.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Anyway, okay, so the Horash, then you fight Kararika and her minions. And by the way, this is, this one on the left, this is not a Minotaur, even though you think so. This is actually a demon spawn. Norcreus.
Naturally.
There's a lot going on with this little group. This is going to be very challenging. This is going to be a wonderful, challenging combat, and it's anticlimactic, right? Because the
I like this guy. This one's my favorite.
Oh, the Odagi. The Odagi.
Yeah. Is that like a head of teeth?
So that's the mouth. That's the mouth of the Odagi. Which is really an Otug, I think is how it's pronounced. Otiug. Does anybody know how the damn thing is really pronounced? Poo Morning Zyathé. We are not naming it Poo Morning Zyathé.
I think we might get more viewership if we did.
If we named it Poo Morning Zyathé.
But it's probably not the people we want.
No. God, no. All right. So anyway,
Harry says it's pronounced phonetically.
Yes. So you saw that hole, right? Cameraman, he showed you.
Yes.
This is the hole. There's you can't go down there unless you've gotten some things. So there's some. We talked about that last week, so I won't go into it too much. Mm-hmm. But then you go down. Okay. And I did put that in there. I forgot I did that, cameraman. Yeah, bring the talisman or 4 shards from that which I carry in order to descend in the depths below. Should you not heed my words, blah, 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 right? If you do that, you will suffer a fate. So there's a puzzle and a mystery and things they got to collect. And, that's a wonderful part of exploring is finding, right? So, Otiug. I pronounce it Otug too as well. But I've had people call it Odagi, Odiug, Otiug is right there from Andy. The dung squid. I don't even know what a dung squid is. Now we're back on the poop.
Welcome, Portholus, who just joined us.
Oh, Portholus is here. Yes, Portholus knows all about poop.
Okay.
All right. So the caverns of Gyzaengaxx. And I'm really excited about even the name of this because obviously it's a nod to Gyzaengaxx. It's also a nod to Piers Anthony's marvelous novels, which were coming out in the 70s and the 80s and beyond of Xanth. So we wanted to nod to both of those things and give a little. So that's just one of the many little Easter eggs that are in here.
I really like this dungeon map. This is
isn't it pretty? Yes.
Yeah.
Really, really pretty.
Yeah.
And we're going to handle this in 2 parts, and then we'll finish off the tour next week. So, Jariki, I cannot tell you. I read A Spell for Chameleon. What a magnificent little tale, right? And the first three were not quite. The first 3 tales, the first 3 books that he wrote, were not quite as punny as it became. It got more and more punny as it went on. But they had puns in the first 3. But the first 3 really had a just so much it was great. I mean, A Spell for Chameleon in particular. So if you haven't ever read those, I highly recommend them. So anyway, so now what happens is if you go to the next slide, camera Mendy, when you descend the lift area, the thing that's there, you end up in this. No, you were right. you end up in this room that's sort of in the center here, where there's a hole and some things, because there are excavations going on down here.
Wait, so this is where you end up?
The room right in the center.
Okay.
Is where you descend from above, and you end up right in that room in the center.
And so you go down a hole, and then there's like yet another hole inside that room.
Yes, but that hole you can tell is having things dumped into it, rocks and rubble and all of that stuff. Because what you're you're walking in the path. So what you're doing is you're walking in the path of Gyzaengaxx, because the reason he chose Avalon Hill was because of what they found beneath it.
Right.
And so this is all a ruse, right? Because they're trying very hard to keep this Nether Vortrix thing a secret, because nefarious powers would love to get their hands upon it, right? So they're doing everything they can to keep this quiet. Hello, Donnie. Good to see you, my friend. So we get to this marvelous area, and you're walking in the path of Gyzaengaxx, and you realize, as time has gone on with the various mysteries and puzzles and clues that we've put out, that there's excavations going on down here, or were going on down here, to try to learn things. Okay. So if you think about this map itself, and you can go back to the one above, Cameramandy, real quick. If you think about this map itself, you can see it's kind of in a couple different parts. Okay. There is the first part, which is sort of the southerly area, which is more just wild dungeon. Then as you move more northerly, you can see that there's a caved-in passage up there at the top. There's another passage up there at the top that has some bars across it, and that's also the case on the far right. There's these bars that are there because they lead into deeper places of the Underdelve. So anyway, so now you get to sort of walk in Gyzaengaxx's footsteps. And we'll start with the southerly area down there. Okay, so if you're going, if the PCs go south, they'll end up in this marvelous water passage with all of these this mushroom grottos and dungeon ecology, right? Because we wanted to have some feeling of real. So go ahead, Cameramandy. So when you're down there, the first thing you could encounter is this thing, which is a really scary monster, and it's called the Cha'a. And actually, this was one of the contributed monsters that Jen's contributed. So we're starting to bring forth these monsters. So you're right, Cameramandy. We need to start sending people their rewards. But this was one of the monsters that was contributed, called the Cha'a, and it's really It's going to be a great combat. It's creepy. It's a corruptive creature, which gives you a clue that there's some corruption things going on down here. And so that's one. And then as you progress down to the south. Oh, yeah, I meant to do this. Doggone it. My apologies. No, you're good. Stay there where you were, Cameramandy. I did want to say this. Even though we're not going up there to the north, you can see how there's on the top right, there's bars across that passage. On the top left, there's the caved-in passages, and those bars have actually been knocked down. So and there's footprints and things that you discover. So this is what's going on in here. Is there's been work that's been going on in these caverns, and this is what the fawns have been doing down here, because they're trying to find this Nether Vortrix. So go to the next one, please. So now you're down in the mushroom grotto area, and there's water, and there's all these mushrooms, and there is a fairly significant group of Vondrak, which are sort of, for lack of a better term, they're lizards, but for lack of a better term, they're kind of like Underdelven cattle. And Underdelven cities raise these Vondrak for food, but in the wild, they are also sort of like, zebras or, water buffaloes or other sorts of creatures like that, that are sort of preyed upon by the carnivorous ones. And but the Vondrak are attracted here because of the mushrooms, all the mushrooms in the grotto, in the water. So down here in the south, you can see there's a closed gate right there, Cameramandy. Do you see that one on the far side?
Yeah, I see it. I can zoom in.
All right. So they get to explore these marvelous grottos here, and they get to meet another interesting monster beyond. There's the Vondrak right there. That's what they look like.
Nice.
And then
wait, are these what the Fey Metals ride?
Yes, they use them. They use Vondrak as a beast of burden. Yeah, they do. So then you can cruise through here. You find out the various see the various things, and there's some monsters, and you learn there might even be a mystery that you get to solve in here. And then one of the fun monsters that I'm excited about them encountering is the next one, Cameramandy, which is the Glomblug. So the Glomblug has been attracted to the area because of the Vondrak. And so it's kind of trying to eat the Vondrak. And of course, this is a wonderful monster, and very excited to bring it forth.
This is kind of cute. I'm gonna be honest.
No, yeah,
this goes into the realm of cute monster. Like
it's also pretty big, and it will also eat your face, cameraman.
I don't know. This is, I think, the kind of monster that I think some people are going to try and tame and keep as a pet.
Well, it would be a great plushie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's literally as you said that.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is adorable. Yeah, we're all on the same page here. I mean, the problem is he just looks like you just want to cuddle him.
He's got some slime coming out of his mouth,
dogs slime too, just saying. He looks like a Zyathé dog.
Anyway, that's the Glomblug. So they get kind of a little bit of exposure to the underdog.
Everyone agrees on the plushie, by the way.
Yeah, the plushie would be fun. But all that is down there. So now as they begin to progress north, this is where the mystery reaches its climax, Cameramendi. Okay.
Spoilers.
Because this room that was uncovered in the excavations, which is now covered with an illusory wall. So if you see that wall there in front of the doors, that wall was put there by Gyzaengaxx. So if anybody did come down there, they might just walk by it and just not even know
this wall right here.
That's correct.
So is this a magic wall? Like in terms of like, is it like if you touch it, is it actual rock or?
No, it's an illusion.
So you can just walk right through it.
You can, yes, but it was meant to be there for protective purposes because this room is very important. So then you get past that. There's probably a little trap or something you got to deal with. There's some things that we'll have to deal with. And you see the doors, and on the doors is this symbol, which is I think the next symbol.
Okay, sorry.
That's the next slide. And this is the symbol of the Genevian Cabal, which you might have gotten some hints about earlier. Okay, and it has to do with the Nether Vortrix and all of that stuff. And then when you open the doors, this marvelous room appears, and this is wonderful artwork by Benjo. Isn't that wonderful? So this marvelous room appears, and there's enough clues in this circumstance that your party will come to realize that this is actually the control room of something, and they can attune. Each of the players can attune to these various crystals, but there's only 2 or 3 that are active because the keys that are necessary that need to go into the obelisk in the center, there's only 2 or 3 of them that are in there. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3. And what they can do is they can actually, one of them, and when they attune to the thing, they can actually kind of see. It's kind of like, do you remember the Pacific Rim? Does everybody remember the movie Pacific Rim? Where the controllers of these massive robots were like, sometimes there's 2 people that were working together and they were almost like of the same mind. So that was a little bit of our inspiration here, was that it would take 9 Ethernic of these Ethernic separatist Genevian Cabal mages to actually control this Nether Vortrix. And this is the room, this is the control room. And so what happens is when they attune, they can actually see through the eyes of the Nether Vortrix in the place that it is, and they can actually also move the arms. But they can't do anything else. So we think it's pretty exciting. It's a wonderful mystery, and we think it's going to give people a little shiver up their spines and all of that kind of stuff. And yes, that's right. Portholis is saying that you had to have 2 people to run those massive robots, the Jaegers. Yes, it was. So all right, Andy, just stop. I know it was a mystery, but hopefully
I said spoilers. I said spoilers. That's on you, Andy.
We're doing a walkthrough. It's going to be spoilers.
Andrew Grover. Yeah, no.
So anyway, so next week we'll do part 7, which is the last of it, which is the end game. And the end game is where they deal with the rat who killed Gyzaengaxx, and they find out about these doors and the idol and all of that stuff.
Very nice.
So are you going to show your video, Camera Mendy?
I will show it when I end the episode. But first, we have to put in hashtag shirt. Hashtag shirt.
Because SHIRT, not SHIT. Do not put in hashtag shit. If you put in hashtag shit, you will not be counted.
Hashtag shirt. Sorry, I'm just coming up with these hashtags. I was last week was hat. This week is shirt. This is for a signed print copy of the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx, or that is one of our prototype copies.
Yes,
so,
one of our prototypes.
Porthalis is just being contrary. He did put in the S.
Shart does not count either, Lord Kurg.
Anyway, very interesting stuff. I think.
And I do want to apologize to Grey Wolf because
I did miss the opportunity. Peter Andrew Payson, hashtag poo. That would have been so much better.
Mandy, it's not Saturday mornings with our friends just marvelous.
I say this. Put in hashtag poo, and if you do hashtag poo, I'll give you a second entry.
Oh, look at that.
Hashtag shirt and hashtag poo.
Quick, put in a hashtag poo.
So, sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying, don't you love Saturday mornings with our friends?
Yes, of course I love Saturday mornings. We've been doing this. We are on this is our 185th episode.
Wow, Camera Mendy, we got to do
We're coming up on 200.
We got to do something very special.
I mean, that's 15 weeks away, so I have some time to think about it, but we all know that my weeks are filled with other things. So,
and by the way, has everybody been seeing Harry's putting up some amazing minis lately? I mean,
I grabbed the shot of the minis, and then I don't know how, accidentally deleted the image, so I couldn't show it on the show. But I did grab one.
Next
week.
Yeah.
No, he put up like a whole montage. He released a whole bunch of STLs, and he did a whole montage of like painted minis, and I had grabbed it, and somehow when I was uploading it to the program, it got deleted. So.
And you know what? I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll just do it real fast before we go. So the Den is a place of creativity, and obviously, most people who have been around me long enough know my position on AI art and honestly AI writing as well. Is that even though I understand the tool set, I understand how it can help. I understand, and I see the benefits of it. I also can see how it can be very disruptive and take away people's opportunity to be able to make a living and all of that stuff. And
then we do also recognize that it was built off other people's work and creativity, because that's how it's trained. These things are trained, and it's really unfortunate.
Yes, it's a machine. It's not AI. It's not true AI.
And it doesn't. People have not there's this whole thing that came out with Facebook the other day about how they trained their AI off like a network of published books that were taken off a illegally downloaded book website. I don't know. It's sad. It is. So there are 100% very legitimate concerns that people have with AI, and so we want to definitely recognize that.
And we don't, as an organization, we don't support. We don't use AI artworks in our stuffs. We don't. But I have used it as a tool. I'd be lying if I didn't, because it helps. It helps me to show ideas to artists to help them understand kind of what we're thinking, and all of that stuff.
Can I also say, there is some legitimate things for sure that you can use this for a tool for, like in Photoshop. They have generative fill AI, and things that used to take me 4 hours to Photoshop, like painstakingly by hand, in like my pictures, they can just whip out in like less than 5 minutes. So there are, in my opinion, ways to use it, like human-backed AI, as a tool to support what you're trying to accomplish.
Yes, because it's no different than when they invented word processors, which made it a hell of a lot easier to from typing, right?
Or like when they did like autocorrect, or like ways to find,
Yes.
So there's so many nuances to the argument, and I want to recognize that everyone has very good points about this, So
yeah, again, it's one of these sort of there's not a right answer, because obviously advancements in technology and all of that stuff has displaced people through the course of their lives. But I just don't want robots making our artwork, right? Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Agreed.
But I also don't, and I agree with the folks who don't want to see the Facebook filled with all kinds of just AI stuff all the time. I would rather see real people stuff, right? That'd be my preference, right? And that's what I prefer. I don't mind if it shows up every once in a while, especially if it's something that's cute or funny or inspirational. And that's going to be our place right now. But if it gets out of hand, we will just ban it entirely. So that's, just for everybody's edification and understanding. But you all know this. We have a wonderful stable of artists who do wonderful work for us, and I'm going to tell you, I've gone through the process with these artists, and from sketch all the way to finished product. And these damn AI checkers sometimes still say that it's likely AI. So you can't really trust these AI checkers that are out there either. So anyway, you know where we stand. This is where we're going to live. And as always, the most important thing in the Gooey Den is kindness rules. Kindness rules, even if someone's doing something that you don't think is right. Moderators are very good at dealing with people who are saying things that are unkind or rude or despicable. And so that's all I really want to say about this stuff. Is that good?
I'll add one other thing. Sometimes it's okay to unfollow people, or so that way, if you're not enjoying somebody's art and it's bothering you, don't want it in your feed, you can always feel free to unfollow. That's a very kind way. They don't get informed that you've unfollowed them or anything like that. You can just unfollow, and you won't see their stuff anymore. And sometimes it's better than saying stuff.
Yeah, just escalating the circumstance, right? But I understand it because I've talked to artists that we work with and who have lost business. They are literally they're feeling it right now. They have lost work, and I had one artist say, "Thank you for doing what you're doing because I got to feed my family." So that's as long as us are around, Camera Andy, right? We're gonna keep having humans make our stuffs. That's what we're gonna do.
We do believe creativity comes from inside here, not from a robot. So
indeed. All right. So let's the end game, which we'll talk about, but Camera Mandy's going to show her marvelous video. The end game really comes down to the rat, and the rat that ate the gem out of the idol's eye that contains a most fearful individual who we'll talk about next week a little bit, what's going on with that idol and why that idol is so important and what a part it plays and how come Gyzaengaxx is no longer alive and all of that stuff, all comes back to the rat. And actually it is the rat's actions that actually stopped the assault of the temple by this organization that is related to the Genevian cabal, the whole thing that's going on with that. So
Jarika's asking, is there a big reveal? It was alluded to on Facebook yesterday. Do we have a big reveal? Who alluded to a big reveal? I don't think we have a big reveal. I'm so confused.
Well, Camera Mandy, of your video, but
people have seen this video. This is the same video. It literally still says last chance to back our Kickstarter.
Oh, it was in the newsletter. Lawrence put that thing in the newsletter. I think it was about the
This is what happens when you let Lawrence go rogue.
There's a big reveal about Armando. Camera Mandy. Whatever the big reveal is, clearly we were not informed of the big reveal.
With that said, enjoy this video.
Whatever that reveal is,
that shows the rat.
Tune in next week for whatever it was supposed to be this week.
No idea. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you.
All right. So this is it. We're going to do the video and be out, right? We're not going to say goodbye. Much love, my friends. Truly. Much love to you all. You all are magnificent and such good friends and have made such wonderful comrades in this journey that we have been on for so long. And we appreciate you contributing and being a part of it. Can't wait for you to see the environs, which is so close now, and can't wait to see what you think. It's really spectacular, and thanks to so many people who helped make it that way by throwing a contribution in. And by the way, we're about to start another round of contributions, so we'll be talking about that over the next few weeks, and And thank you for making Saturday morning so special. I always walk out with a bigger smile on my face than I walked in with, Cameron Mendy.
Absolutely. May all your adventures be pooey.
Yeah, pooey. Enjoy the video. It's great. Even if you've seen it before.
There once was a demon who lost its eye in a most bizarre and awkward circumstance. The eye held much power of evil design, and the losing of said magical orb set events in motion that caused much consternation for a certain archmage who lived in a tower and held the name of Gyzaengaxx. Yes, my friends, at the foot of the Mithril Mountains near the village of Etholm, atop a small forested plateau rose the tower of Gyzaengaxx. But some years back, the wizard disappeared, with many believing he had passed away, and his tower became a place of strange happenings, with dark creatures and fearful monstrosities lurking in the woods below. The place was so dangerous that none dared approach it, for those who had done so lost their lives in most terrifying ways. Over time, the place was renamed the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx, for the wizard had never returned. And now a man in Etholm, the son of the wizard, has hired a group of adventurers to find out what happened to his father. And thus does the tale begin. Do you have the mettle to assail the dark woods in the tower beyond, to delve into the depths beneath the stony abode, to find your way in the mazes and the tunnels crafted by the wizard's hand, thereafter to expose the mystery and bring forth the terrible secrets held close in the deeping darkness of the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx?